Mexico's cartel war is evolving into something far more dangerous. It's a new kind of battlefield shaped by foreign mercenaries, stolen military tech, and weapons once seen only in global conflicts. But the United States isn't watching from the sidelines. Its answer? The Navy's mysterious F/A-XX fighter. Could this next-generation war machine be the key to ending the cartel's reign of terror? Or will it spark an even deadlier arms race? Join us as we explore the capabilities of the ultimate cartel fighter, the Navy's F/A-XX. For over 20 years, Mexico has been fighting a brutal war against drug cartels. However, what began as a crackdown on smugglers has now turned into something that looks more like an internal military conflict. The cartels have evolved in every aspect and are no longer just moving drugs across the US border. They are fighting for control of Mexican land, building armies, and turning entire regions into war zones. By 2024, cartels controlled nearly 1/3 of Mexico's territory. Towns, highways, and even police forces have fallen under their grip. The goal is no longer just profit, it's power. This shift has changed the nature of the fight. What used to be a battle against crime has become a struggle against well-armed, organized, and disciplined groups that act more like insurgent forces. Cartels now use drones, armored trucks, and even homemade bombs to destroy rivals and intimidate authorities. Videos online often show drone strikes on enemy camps or convoys outfitted with mounted machine guns. These groups have also recruited foreign fighters, especially from Colombia, bringing in military-trained men who know how to run combat operations. This growing militarization has forced both Mexico and the United States to rethink their strategies. For Mexico, the challenge is strengthening security forces that are often outgunned and infiltrated by corruption. For the United States, it's about cutting off the steady stream of American-made weapons that fuel cartel arsenals. Without serious change on both sides, the violence will keep spreading. In the early days, cartels operated like businesses. They focused on logistics, buying, selling, and moving drugs as efficiently as possible. The Guadalajara cartel in the 1980s was the prime example. They didn't care about ruling towns or running extortion rings. Their mission was simple: get the product to the US and make money. But then came a new generation of cartels that wanted more. Groups like Los Zetas changed the game. Formed by former Mexican Special Forces soldiers, the Zetas turned a criminal enterprise into organized warfare. They were after both profits and control. By ruling territories, they could tax every illegal activity within them: extortion, human trafficking, kidnapping, oil theft, and drug transit fees. This territorial mindset forced cartels to grow in size and discipline. Running an area meant recruiting more men, setting up communication networks, and managing resources like an army. The chain of command became more rigid. Leaders acted like generals. Gunmen became foot soldiers. And to hold territory, they needed serious firepower, armored vehicles, explosives, and military-grade rifles. Today's cartel battles often resemble military operations. Drones hover over enemy zones, dropping grenades or filming ambushes. Convoys of trucks with steel armor, known as monstruos, roll into rival strongholds. These clashes are broadcast on social media, showing the world how far cartel warfare has advanced. Experts have noted that cartels now share similar tactics and battlefield techniques. Their use of technology, such as fiber optic networks to control drones, has made them more coordinated and harder to stop. The cartels are learning from each other, blending military precision with criminal ruthlessness. What makes this war especially dangerous is that it's no longer about drugs alone. The cartels have built mini-states within Mexico, where their rules replace government law. For the civilians caught in the crossfire, daily life can feel like living in an occupied zone. The longer this continues, the more it threatens not just Mexico, but the region as a whole. If these militarized cartels keep gaining ground, they could reshape the balance of power across Latin America. The question now is simple but urgent. Can Mexico and its allies adapt fast enough to fight cartels that no longer act like criminals, but like armies? Behind the firepower of Mexico's cartels lies a constant and deadly supply line, one that flows straight from the United States. Experts call it the Iron River, a steady stream of smuggled weapons that has turned criminal groups into heavily armed militias. Each year, an estimated 200,000 to 500,000 guns cross the border illegally from the U.S. into Mexico, feeding the country's ongoing war. Most of these weapons come from well-known American manufacturers like Smith & Wesson and reach Mexico through legal distributors and gun shops that operate with weak oversight. Once purchased, they are easily moved south by traffickers who take advantage of poor tracking systems. These guns don't just end up in the hands of ordinary criminals. They equip cartel hitmen, enforcers, and even makeshift military units capable of taking on government forces. Mexico has pushed back through the courts. In 2021, the Mexican government sued a U.S. gun manufacturer and wholesaler, accusing them of turning a blind eye to illegal trafficking. The following year, they filed another lawsuit against 5 gun stores near the border, claiming their sales practices fueled cartel violence. While both cases face legal challenges, they mark a rare attempt to hold the U.S. firearms industry accountable for the chaos its products help unleash. The reason this problem persists is the sharp difference between the two countries' gun laws. The United States has more than 75,000 licensed gun dealers, a massive supply network that's nearly impossible to fully monitor. By contrast, Mexico has just one official gun store, located inside a military base in Mexico City. The rules there are strict, the paperwork endless, and the approval process slow. For traffickers, the choice is obvious. Buy guns easily in the U.S., then smuggle them across the border for profit. Once these weapons reach Mexico, they change the battlefield. Cartels showcase their firepower openly in videos and photos posted online, displays meant to intimidate rivals and challenge the state. Among their most prized weapons are .50 caliber anti-materiel rifles, like the Barrett M82 and M95, both made in the United States. These massive rifles can pierce armor, walls, and vehicles with ease, giving cartels a devastating edge in combat. For many cartels, these .50 caliber rifles act as their main anti-tank tools. Rocket-propelled grenades are still rare in Mexico, so a well-placed shot from one of these rifles can destroy an armored truck or force soldiers to retreat. In several cases, Mexican forces have found themselves pinned down by cartel gunmen firing from hidden positions with weapons capable of shredding their lightly protected vehicles. Even Mexico's National Guard and police units often travel in pickup trucks or light tactical vehicles, no match for the raw power of that caliber round. It's no surprise, then, that cartels flaunt these rifles in propaganda videos, mounting them on makeshift technicals and painting their logos across the barrels. The message is clear. They're not just mere gangs anymore. They've become full-blown armies. The Iron River has done more than arm criminals. It has shifted the balance of power in Mexico's long war. With United States guns in hand, cartels can stand toe-to-toe with federal troops, forcing the government to treat them as military threats rather than street gangs. Unless the flow of weapons slows, Mexico's fight against organized crime will remain a war it struggles to win. In recent years, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and the United Cartels have begun recruiting Colombian mercenaries, especially in the violent state of Michoacán. These aren't just ordinary gunmen. Many of them have real battlefield experience, and some even fought in Ukraine against Russian forces. By bringing in veterans trained in modern warfare, the cartels are learning new tactics and adapting lessons from international conflicts. Techniques once used in the trenches of Europe are now appearing on Mexican soil. This includes coordinated assaults, better small unit movements, and, most dangerously, the strategic use of drones for attacks. Reports suggest that Mexico's intelligence agency and Ukraine's security services are investigating a troubling trend. Cartel operatives allegedly joining the Ukrainian Foreign Legion, not to fight the war, but to receive drone warfare training. These fighters are believed to return to Mexico with new skills and strategies, using drones not just for surveillance, but for dropping explosives on targets. This new wave of drone warfare has already hit Mexico's heartland. On June 9th, the CJNG launched an attack in Juarez, Michoacán, using drones to drop explosive devices directly onto the municipal building. The strike sent shockwaves across the country, signaling that the cartels had entered a new era of high-tech violence. Military experts warn that these types of drone assaults could soon become routine in cartel conflicts, But the cartel's arsenal doesn't stop there. They also rely on monstrous, heavily armored, homemade vehicles built from civilian trucks. These rolling fortresses are reinforced with steel plates, giving them both protection and intimidation power in urban combat. Packed with mounted weapons and manned by cartel soldiers, they often look more like military convoys than criminal transports. At the same time, cartels have ramped up their use of improvised explosive devices, a tactic borrowed from insurgent warfare in the Middle East. These crude but deadly bombs have caused serious damage across northern Mexico, leading to a sharp rise in civilian casualties. The situation grew so dangerous that the U.S. State Department issued a travel warning for Tamaulipas in January after several IED incidents, one of which claimed the life of an American citizen. For the average Mexican caught in the middle, the war now feels less like organized crime and more like open combat. Cartels are blending old-school brutality with modern technology, creating hybrid warfare that confuses and overwhelms local forces. Drone attacks, armored vehicles, and bomb traps have turned once quiet towns into battlegrounds. Still, despite the sophistication of these tactics, Mexican authorities believe the cartel's capabilities remain basic compared to fundamental military forces. Photos shared by the Mexican army show seized explosives and drones that, while dangerous, are homemade and relatively primitive. Many lack precision, and their explosive payloads are often unstable or weakly constructed. This gives both Mexico and the United States a small but crucial window to act. By strengthening intelligence sharing and improving border monitoring, they can disrupt the flow of foreign fighters and advanced weapon parts before the cartels refine their craft. But while joint efforts are being pushed on the ground, another battle for control is taking shape in the skies. The Tailhook Symposium of 2025 turned into one of the most talked about events in U.S. naval aviation history. Held from August 21st to 23rd, the annual gathering of Navy and Marine aviators became the stage for a dramatic comeback. The revival of the Navy's next-generation strike fighter program, known as the FA-XX. Just months earlier, the program had been all but scrapped. The Navy's fiscal year 2026 budget request had nearly wiped out funding FA-XX fighter, raising fears that the project would be shelved for good. But thanks to pressure from lawmakers and defense advocates, the program has been brought back to life, sparking new excitement in the aerospace community. This year's Tailhook convention was filled with surprises. For the first time, Northrop Grumman revealed concept images of its stealth fighter design for the Navy, a sleek, tailless aircraft built for both speed and survivability. Its futuristic look and radar-evading shape suggests that Northrop is aiming to return to the forefront of naval aviation, decades after building the legendary B-2 Spirit bomber. Not to be outdone, Boeing showcased its own concept, a carrier-based variant of its F-47 Next Generation Air Dominance, NGAD, which is already being developed for the U.S. Air Force. The design hints that Boeing wants to unify technologies between the two branches, cutting costs while maintaining cutting-edge performance. The company's prototype model featured a sharp, stealthy profile similar to the F-47, but modified for the harsh conditions of aircraft carrier operations. The Navy's sixth-generation fighter program has had a rocky journey. It was nearly abandoned after Boeing secured the Air Force's NGAD contract, which shifted much of the government's focus and funding toward the F-47 project. Under the Trump administration, the Navy's FA-XX was placed on what many insiders called life support, as officials sought to streamline resources across the services. For years, speculation grew that the Navy might simply adapt the Air Force's jet rather than pursue a unique design. That debate still lingers, but the new showings at Tailhook 2025 prove that both Boeing and Northrop Grumman are still in the race and determined to keep the Navy's project alive. Before this budget shakeup, Lockheed Martin, the company behind the F-35 Lightning II, was reportedly dropped from the FA-XX competition, narrowing the field to just two contenders. Both remaining manufacturers have already proven their carrier capabilities with earlier drone projects. Boeing's MQ-25 Stingray, a refueling drone that successfully launched and landed on carriers, and Northrop Grumman's X-47 Bravo, the first unmanned jet to autonomously take off and land on a moving ship. These achievements give both companies a major edge as the Navy pushes for a fighter that can operate alongside or eventually replace the F/A-18 Super Hornet and the carrier-based F-35 Charlie. The future jet is expected to combine stealth, extended range, and advanced networking features that allow it to control drones in flight, a key requirement for sixth-generation aircraft. With Congress restoring funds and the competition reignited, the race for the FAXX is back on. The Tailhook 2025 Symposium didn't just reveal aircraft concepts, it reignited a battle between America's top aerospace giants for the Navy's next era of air dominance. The FA-XX won't just be a stealthy fighter. Its real edge will be how it works with unmanned systems. Think of it less as a single jet and more as a command node that links pilots, drones, sensors, and weapons into one fighting machine. That shift is a hard break from old fighters built mainly around speed and guns. This jet is being designed for networked warfare, where unmanned aircraft act like loyal wingmen on missions. Designers are pushing the F/A-XX to outfight today's fighters in both air combat and strike missions. It aims to match or exceed the Super Hornet's role, but with much better range, speed, and killing power. Stealth will be deeper than current platforms, built so the jet survives in high-threat airspace while directing other assets. Sensor fusion will be central. The FA-XX should collect and integrate data from its own systems, satellites, other aircraft, and unmanned vehicles, providing pilots with a single, clear picture of the battlefield. A significant component will be cooperative combat aircraft, the so-called loyal wingman drones. These unmanned partners will fly loose or tight formations with manned jets, take on scouting and strike tasks, and even absorb enemy fire. FAXX systems will be able to task those drones, hand off targets, and coordinate strikes in real time. That means one pilot can control several effectors at once, spotting, jamming, or hitting targets without exposing the manned jet to direct danger. Hypersonic weapons are also on the table as potential armament, adding a new layer of strike speed and range that would complicate enemy defenses. The Navy is treating the FA-XX as a system of systems, not merely an airframe. That gives program managers room to fold in new tech faster, especially artificial intelligence and autonomy. AI could speed decision-making in high-pressure fights, run sensor fusion algorithms, and manage drone formations, so human crews can focus on strategy and critical choices. The goal is more brilliant, faster decision cycles that let a carrier strike group hit and fade before the enemy can react. Operational lessons already exist. Unmanned testing on carriers showed what works and what doesn't. Early programs demonstrated autonomous takeoffs, recoveries, and even mid-air refueling of manned jets by drones. Those trials taught DecOps integration with the carrier's Combat Information Center and how to handle unmanned traffic alongside manned aircraft. The practical takeaway: drones can handle the dull, dangerous, and persistent tasks, scouts, refuelers, and decoys, freeing manned fighters for the decisive moments. Refueling drones are a practical example. An unmanned tanker that reliably hoses fuel to fighters in a pattern reduces pilot fatigue and risk and keeps human crews focused on combat. That capability also extends mission range and recovery windows, allowing carriers to push air power farther without burning out pilots or aircraft. In a contested fight, every extra mile and minute counts. The real test for the FA-XX will be how well it fits into a carrier air wing packed with mixed crews, drones, and shipboard networks. Integration is as much about software, doctrine, and training as it is about the plane's shape. Sailors and aviators will need new procedures for the flight deck, new tactics for mixed teams, and stronger cyber defenses to keep control links secure. If the FA-XX delivers on its promise, carriers will get a force multiplier, a stealthy, long-range jet that directs swarms of drones, carries novel weapons, and makes faster, more intelligent choices in battle. That won't just replace older fighters. It will change how carrier strike groups fight, making them more distributed, more resilient, and harder to pin down. The big question left to answer: can industry and the Navy move fast enough to turn these concepts into a reliable combat system before adversaries close the gap. It would also be a very good asset in combating cartels, providing advanced surveillance, precision strike options, and unmanned support that could help disrupt cartel networks while minimizing risk to ground forces. Thanks for watching. Before you go, click the link on your screen to check out another video. See you there.